I think we've undervalued Chaz Lanier. And let's make it a poll question of some shape, form, or fashion. Have we undervalued Chaz Lanier? Chaz Lanier, to me, is not considered a great player in Tennessee's fans' eyes because of Dalton Knecht happening last year. And it doesn't hurt that Dalton Knecht is still having a fantastic season in the NBA, that he's going to be a standout player. He's a generational player. But Chaz Lanier averages about 18 points a game. Dalton Knecht, I think, was at 22, if you want to double check my math on that. But I have this feeling that Chaz Lanier might not be as good as Dalton Knecht, but I feel like he knows his role, and that could end up paying off in the in the NCAA tournament.
So this is a very interesting topic, and when you brought it up to me today, I kind of thought about it. And Chaz Lanier just earned SEC Player of the Week. Kudos to him for that. 30 points at Texas.
Third time, by the way. Go ahead.
Third time this year. 30 points at Texas A&M. Here's why Chaz Lanier, I don't think. I'm actually going to disagree with you a little bit. I don't necessarily think Chaz Lanier's being underappreciated, because I don't think even at the beginning of the year, yes, some people were comparing him to Dalton Knecht. We backed off that a little bit. I think but I don't think he's underappreciated, because here's, I think, the problem with Chaz Lanier, and it's something that bothers me. It's not his greatness or what he can or can't do. It's when he disappears. And there is a clutch issue still with Chaz Lanier that bothers me. It bothers me that against Auburn, when Tennessee went for the win, a game-winning 3, that Rick Barnes called it for Zakai Ziegler, not Chaz Lanier. It bothers me that over the weekend, that as great as Chaz Lanier was with 30 points, Zakai Ziegler closed the deal in the final 2 minutes, and I'm like, he's not even a scorer. It also bothers me that Rick Barnes one time called a play for Chaz Lanier going out of the locker room to start the second half, and Chaz Lanier didn't score, and Rick Barnes had to pull him to the bench. And I'm like, he's a scoring guard. He's not like Tony Harris trying to alternate between 1 and 2 guard. No, he's a scoring guard. His job is to be the shooting guard. Period. End of story. If you are the scoring job, if your job is to score and the coach calls a play for you to score and you pass that up, that tells me he has absolutely no killer instinct whatsoever. And honestly, to that end, that's what bothers me about Chaz Lanier. I'm not saying that he has to be as good as Dalton Knecht. I thought he might be. I was wrong. That's okay that I was wrong. Looks like he's probably not as good of a three-point shooter as Chris Lofton was, even though he looked that way earlier in the year. I'm wrong on that. That's totally fine. What I'm not wrong, and what I didn't see from Chaz Lanier at the beginning of the year, though, I guess where I am wrong now, because I also didn't see this, is his disappearing in crunch time, not taking that shot, missing the free throw to tie the game against Vanderbilt. There are too many moments in which Chaz Lanier has not shown up when the game was on the line and palms got sweaty. And that stands out because you want your assassin to be able to do that.
Okay. Let me ask, I think I know the answer to this question, brought to you by Joe Neubert Collision Center. For nearly 50 years, Neubert Collision Center has been East Tennessee's best choice for quality repair work and fantastic customer service. Caleb, would you take Chris Lofton over Chaz Lanier?
Yes. Chris Lofton's a better three-point shooter, and Chris Lofton is more clutch.
Okay. How big is the clutch thing?
For a scorer, it's huge to me. I mean, it's not big to me if you're LeBron, even though actually people act like Kobe's more clutch than LeBron. Look at the data. LeBron's actually a more clutch player than Kobe. But it's never a big deal to me if you're like the wing or the small forward or the distributor, ever. Because your job's not. But if you're just the scorer, if your job is just to be the scorer, you've got to be the clutch player in the final 2 minutes.
Can't argue that. The UPS store, Hardin Valley, helping individuals and small businesses, wide range of products and services locally owned and operated. But I did make you think. So if Chaz Lanier is even close to Chris Lofton, hasn't this season been a success for him?
I mean, he's already close to Chris Lofton. So I think we would already call this season a success for him. I mean, he's already close. I just don't think he hasn't been able to manufacture buckets when the shots aren't falling. That's been a problem. And he's taken himself out of games when things have gone wrong for him, when things have gone awry. And I think that just relying on his ability to shoot a good percentage from 3 and hope that he does or doesn't on a nightly basis, I mean, that becomes a problem. And that might...
Go ahead.
That might work over a 7-game series, but in the NCAA tournament, you don't get a 7-game series. You get one and done. What happens when he's off shooting the ball in a game?
Matt says Chaz can't be on fire on threes every game. He needs to be more dynamic when he is starting to show actually. And that again speaks to Dalton Knecht, because Dalton Knecht was dynamic. He would take it to the hoop. So that to me is still, I think, plays into my column strength. And that is that he's compared to Dalton Knecht too much. If Dalton Knecht decided to go, and I don't remember which schools he was considering other than Tennessee, but if he went to Vanderbilt, are you telling me that we wouldn't be discussing Chaz Lanier as an elite player?
I mean, we still kind of are, aren't we? Now, maybe he's not getting the pub he should, but and I could get that.
I mean,
and
if you had to pick good, great, elite, what would you pick?
Great. I would go great. I'm not going elite. I'm not putting Chaz Lanier in the level with Allen Houston or Chris Lofton or these like Chaz Lanier is probably not going to be an All-American this year. Put it that way.
Agreed.
And so that's elite.
Well, Dalton finished second in NCAA Player of the Year.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Dalton's there. It's like Dalton, Grant Williams, Chris Lofton. I mean, those guys are just on a level of their own. I'm seeing, with Chaz Lanier, I don't want to go as low as Scooter McFadden, but like maybe Jordan McRae senior year.
Scooter McFadden. There's a
Scotty Hobson, maybe right around there.
I could take Scotty Hobson. I'm not going to go Scooter McFadden. Maybe you like Scooter a little bit more than I do.
No. I funny enough, I'm not a Scooter fan at all. I'm just saying, like, that scoring guard that just disappears when a shot's not falling or when it's crunch time. And I think that really stands out. That, that's a big concerning issue. Now, look, let's be fair to Chaz Lanier. Maybe he was recruited. Maybe he was signed just to do this. And the problem is that Darlington Stone Dubar never emerged the way people wanted him to.
That's true. And let me offer this too. Chaz Lanier, you say, is not as good as Chris Lofton. And most of the people agree with you, although David just said Chaz Lanier should be first team all SEC. Given his size, wouldn't you prefer Chaz over Lofton in the NCAA tournament? I know he hit the incredible shot against Winthrop, but he's a guy who, going against lesser schools especially, is going to be able to get his shot off most of the time.
Well, because of the way Chris Lofton faded away, Chris Lofton never had trouble getting his shot off despite his lack of length. That was kind of he had an awkward shooting motion. The only thing that caused Chris Lofton the year Tennessee would have won the national title was his testicular cancer. His senior year, his shot was not consistent. And he still set the record that year for threes, which is crazy to think about. But when Louisville played that complex 1-3-1 zone defense, and the length and the ability to put the ball on the floor wasn't there, and he just was off shooting that day, and it cost him. And Tennessee did not have a good point guard that year. But I
feel like this is how it's going to play out. Chaz is going to play one great game in the NCAA tournament and then have a dud game, and Tennessee's going to lose.
The good news for Tennessee is they can win if Chaz Lanier has a dud game. They've been doing that throughout a lot of SEC play, to be fair. So, I mean, we can just go down the list, but Chaz Lanier, he's played well the last 2 games. But, I mean, he was okay against Oklahoma. I mean, he was 3 of 10 from 3. And, I mean, I guess he did score 21 points. But at Missouri, he was only 2 of 5. He only had 10 points, and Tennessee won 85-81. That was a big road win. So I think there's times where Chaz Lanier can – oh, and then at Georgia, let's not forget the Georgia game. He was 1 of 9 from 3 against Georgia and had 5 points, and Tennessee still beat Georgia 74-56. And then he was 2 of 6 from 3 with just 10 points at Texas. Tennessee won 74-70. So they have found ways to win without Chaz Lanier, which is a good sign. Derek
says, I like our top to bottom roster. I actually believe they can win it all. Even as down as I am on Barnes, it would be a great story for Barnes. These players play unselfish basketball, and that's big. They do. But, man, they could really use a Dalton Knecht to take it to the rim every once in a while, couldn't they?
They could. And also, again, they play too unselfish. That's the point. Chaz Lanier is passing up shots when he shouldn't.